It was only 3 short years ago that we all laughed at this clip of Will Smith eating a plate of spaghetti. The hands were distorted, the noodles merged into his face, all while his mouth glitched and morphed. It was terrible, and whether we realized it or not, that was comforting, because fake still looked fake. Your eyes still had authority. That was only 3 years ago. Today,
I heard it can create multiple scene cuts like this with a single prompt.
for the first time, we can't reject this at a glance. Not because it was the first fake video, not because propaganda suddenly appeared, but because it marked the moment where truth officially lost. Propaganda is thought of as a tool for forcing belief. A regime tells a lie and its population is meant to accept it. But that has never been the whole game. The most effective propaganda doesn't need to make everyone believe the same lie. It only needs to make the truth harder to hold on to. It muddies the water and weakens confidence. The goal has always been to stretch uncertainty until people stop trusting what they can see, hear, and ultimately make them lose faith in their ability to decipher the truth. But even now, in just the cusp of the age of the convincing AI-generated content that's here, the goal has already been achieved, because propaganda no longer has to convince you a single fake is real to be effective. The same skepticism that allows you to spot the AI videos often causes people to doubt the authenticity of real ones, enough to delay judgment, fracture consensus, and turn evidence into one more thing people argue about. And in a fast information environment, delay is power. Attention only stays in one spot for so long before it will move on to the next outrage. This video was never really about the spaghetti. The original spaghetti clip became a meme because it was awful. It showed us where the technology was, but more importantly, it showed us our defenses still worked. We could still tell the truth. But that's not true today, and most certainly won't be true tomorrow. Once
Fake
it
news
becomes harder to detect than it is to produce, every piece of evidence enters the world under suspicion, because all of it is now debatable. In a world where nothing can be agreed on, the truth starts to become subjective. You can even start to see the shift now in the way people talk. I'm sure you've seen or heard someone say, "That looks like AI," and sometimes that's true, but other times it's just a shield protecting a worldview. Politicians and public figures can claim any disparaging video that comes out as fake, and public opinion will just be split.
Okay. No! Oh! That it was fake! What are you doing? No! No! Please! If Mr. McMahon
Researchers have already named this phenomenon the liar's dividend. The more realistic fake news becomes, the easier it is for real footage to be dismissed as fake. And that's where propaganda is winning. Not getting everyone to believe the false thing, but making nobody feel confident in the true one. We like to imagine propaganda as something blunt, a ridiculous headline, a fake broadcast, a cartoonish lie only a fool would accept. That image of propaganda in of itself is propaganda, comforting you because you believe deception is easy to spot. It takes advantage of your own perceived intelligence. It does not say, "Believe this." It says, "Be careful, be skeptical, don't get fooled." And that sounds wise, until skepticism stops being a tool for finding truth and becomes a permanent state of distrust. A single lie can be debunked, but doubt is durable. If I convince you of one false story, I might win one argument. But if I'm able to convince you that truth itself is slippery, corruptible, or even impossible to verify, then I have changed how you perceive the world. And uncertainty scales far better than persuasion ever will. We've already seen what this looks like, too. When fake clips spread online, they don't have to be perfect. They don't have to survive forensic scrutiny. They just have to feel emotionally complete and confirm something that people already want to believe. By the time the videos are debunked or context is added, the image has already done its work and it's landed. The emotional impression got there before the verification did. I mean, we can even take a look at a real-world example. In early 2026, after the capture of the Venezuelan leader, social media was flooded with AI-generated clips, many of them showing Venezuelans celebrating and thanking President Trump. The post spread widely, drawing millions of views, and one such clip was even reposted by Elon Musk. Only later were the clips identified as AI-generated material, and by that point, they had already reached their target demographic. Truth is not simply being challenged by lies, it is being buried beneath a volume of them. If you would play a hypothetical with me, where a single grain of sugar is the representation of truth, you could see it, you might even be able to pick it up if you were careful enough. But pretend I don't want you to find the sugar. I don't need to destroy it. I just need to bury it beneath enough noise that separating it becomes exhausting to find. And AI makes exhaustion far easier to achieve now than it's ever been.
Every misleading clip is another grain of sugar.
Every manipulated image, false accusation, decontextualized headline, every synthetic voice, every comment section full of uncertainty, irony, bots, and bad faith arguments.
All of it sugar being piled on sugar on sugar.
Until the truth is technically there, but reaching it costs more effort than most people can afford. That is how the truth dies in practice.
With thunderous applause.
Some people start to outsource judgment. They stop trying to verify everything themselves and hand that burden to someone else. An institution, a political figure, a tribe, or even a creator. Just anyone who projects certainty in a world that feels unstable, because confidence starts to look like credibility, tone starts to feel like evidence. The other growing response is to unfortunately disengage. People stop caring. They decide everything is manipulated anyway, so why bother? But that's still a win for propaganda. A disengaged populace becomes passive, volatile, cynical, and easier to steer. That is why something like the dead internet theory matters, even if it's overstated.
Dead internet theory.
Did you see about that Reddit dead internet thing?
The theory that the people you interact with online do not exist.
Not because the literal claim has to be fully true, but because the feeling behind it is powerful. The theory says that the majority of the internet is no longer human. Most of what you see are bots designed to generate engagement. Most trends in internet discourse are manufactured. Of course, at face value, that sounds extreme, but pieces of it are real. Imperva, which is a leading cybersecurity company, has reported that nearly half of internet traffic is automated. But when people hear a theory like that, it does not sound impossible. The internet does not need to literally be dead to function like it is. Even the theory's existence alone supports the goal of making people lose faith in their ability to decipher the truth. Without some baseline trust and evidence, everything becomes negotiable. Every event becomes a factual Rorschach test, one more object to interpret according to preference. And the systems around us do not slow that down. In fact, it's rewarded. When attention is currency, noise becomes profitable. Outrage only scales those profits, so spectacle spreads and context will continue to lag behind. And in that environment, propaganda stops looking like a message. It just becomes more noise. And if people get tired enough, they won't keep trying forever. They'll hand their judgment to somebody else, or decide none of it matters. And both of those outcomes are another win for propaganda. But maybe the day truth died was February 5th, 2026. Or maybe enough of you will fight the fatigue and not give up.
Study harder, kid. Eat your spaghetti.
Or blindly trust a parasocial relationship. And if you're one of the ones that are still here, I'm willing to bet you won't be giving up anytime soon. Though despite the day evidence stopped feeling solid having passed, and the belief that if truth is buried deeply enough, most people won't dig, I have faith that we will prevent the truth from being impossible to hold on to. Because that's how the truth can survive. And the line between personal deception and public deception is a lot thinner than we'd like to believe. That is, if author Andrew Weir was correct.
And to get a full grasp on what his short story The Egg was really trying to tell you, make sure you click here to watch. Stop hitting yourself. And if you are still here, you might as well click that big subscribe button and stick around for the next video.
Until next time. Like crash out. Sorry, I'm back. 20 minutes of my vocal recording just got deleted because I take forever.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin. This is serious.